Welcome back, guys. HC Mortar Platoon, 2nd Battalion, 327th Infantry Regiment, no slack. Back with How to Mortar 101 Virtual Class Series. Alright, today we're going to be going over the mortar tabulated data. I will be the instructor for today. Staff Sergeant Corey Peters. References are TC 3-22.91 and ATP 3-21.90. Alright, so we're going to go over the 60mm mortar tabulated data. So we're going to go over the components first. So we have the M170 bipod, which weighs 15.2 pounds, the M170 Alpha 1, which weighs 12.8, the M225 cannon, which weighs 14.4 pounds, then also the M225 Alpha 1 cannon, that weighs 13 pounds. Moving on to the base plates, we have the M7, which weighs 14.4 pounds, the M7 Alpha 1, which is used in conventional mode, which is 9.2 pounds, the M8 small base plate, which is 3.6 pounds, and the M8 Alpha 1, which is used for both conventional and handheld, which is 4.5 pounds. We have the M64 Alpha 1 and the M67, which both can be used on the 60s. So the M64 Alpha 1 is 2.5 pounds, and the M67 is 2.9. The M224 complete system with the old components is 46.5, and then with the new components with the M224 Alpha 1 is 35.1, 30.1, and then 16.6 in handheld. So it just kind of depends. It varies because of the base plates that you can use. And then the range, the minimum for conventional is 70 meters. For handheld, it's 70 as well. The maximum range conventional is 3490, and then handheld is 1340. The rate of fire for the 60mm mortar is 20 rounds per minute indefinitely, and then max is 30 rounds per minute for 4 minutes. So the cannon has 3 selector switches. The options are safe, so when you drop a round in the tube, it will not go off. Drop fire, so when you drop the round in the tube, it goes off. And then also trigger, so you drop a round in, and then you utilize the trigger to shoot that round. So just be aware on this. Don't go over a charge 1. If you do anything above a charge 1, you may injure yourself. And then the M225 Alpha 1 has 2 saddles. The upper saddle, the elevation used is 0800 through 1100, and then 1 turn traverse equals 10 mils. The lower saddle elevation used is 1100 through 1511. 1 turn traverse equals 15 mils. And then here are just some pictures of the conventional mode and then also the handheld mode, so you can see the differences in base plates, and also a diagram showing you which component goes where. Moving on to the 81mm mortar tabulated data, so we have the M177 bipod, which is 28 pounds, the M177 Alpha 1, which is 21.3 pounds. So we have 2 versions of the cannon. We have the M253 with the removable bad, and the M253 with the integrated bad. So with that one, you can't remove the bad, which is the blast attenuating device. So the one with the removable bad is 35 pounds, and the M253 integrated bad is 30.5. So now we have the M3 Alpha 1 base plate, which is 30 pounds, and then the M3 Alpha 2, which is 23 pounds. The M67 sight unit, 2.9 pounds, and then the complete M252 system weighs 96 pounds. And then if you're using the new components, the M252 Alpha 1 is 77.7. The minimum range utilizing the M252 is 83 meters, and then 80 meters with the M252 Alpha 1. The maximum range for the M252 is 5,608 meters, and then for the M252 Alpha 1 is 5,790 meters. The rate of fire for the 81 sustained, 15 rounds per minute indefinitely. The maximum is 30 rounds per minute for 2 minutes. 1 turn from the elevation knob is approximately 10 mils, and 1 turn on the traversing mechanism is approximately 7 mils. And again, we have photos of each of the systems, so the new and the old ones, and then also a diagram showing you where the components go on that system. So a safety message for the 81 bipod: when using the M177 Alpha 1 bipod, you must max the elevation completely. Using elevation mechanism, once you have maxed the elevation completely, you will then depress the elevation mechanism 5 complete turns down. Mark where that 5th turn ends, and then you will not exceed that elevation. The reason being is because a safety message was published in 2016 stating that exceeding the above elevation was causing the mount below the elevation mechanism to crack, later deadlining that piece of equipment. And then also when the elevation shaft is at its max elevation, there's a lot of play in it, causing that round to impact the wrong location as well. Moving on to the 120mm mortar tabulated data, we have the M191 bipod assembly. So with the bipod leg extension assembly, it's 78 pounds, and then 68 pounds without. The M298 cannon, 110 pounds. The M9 Alpha 1 base plate, 136 pounds. The M67 sight unit, 2.9 pounds. And then the M120 complete system is 316.9. And then with the bipod leg extension is 326.9. So the minimum range of the 120 is 200 meters. The maximum range is 7,200 meters. The rate of fire sustained is 4 rounds per minute indefinitely. And then the max is 16 rounds for 1 minute. One turn of traversing mechanism equals 5 mils. And then also with the 120, we have a trailer that goes with it. It is the M1101, which weighs approximately 399 pounds. And then on that trailer, we have the mortar stowage kit. There are 3 different racks. Each rack holds 8 rounds apiece. So the 2 side racks are horizontal. You can put in HE, aluminum, practice rounds. And then towards the front, towards the hitch, they are vertical. So you can then input your white phosphorus rounds standing up. So here are some pictures of the trailer and then also the diagram showing you where the 120 components go. The M326 MSK is a powder device that allows the 120mm mortar to be carried as a single unit on the M1101 trailer. The device uses a mortar support strut to hold the mortar tube, base plate, and bipod solidly together. This assembly is in place or recovered by a hydraulic winch. A manual lift winch are also available for use. Moving on to the bore sight, we have 2 different series. We have the M45 series and the M115 series. The M45 series is 2.5 pounds, field of view of 12 degrees, and then magnification of 3 power. The systems that it corresponds to that you would utilize it with will be the 81 and 120. And then moving on, we have the M115 series, which weighs 5 ounces, a field of view of 17 degrees, and then a magnification of 1.5. And then just know that these series, you cannot interchange them, so you can't use the 60 bore sight with 81 or 120. So they're used to enhance the accuracy by determining errors in deflection elevation. So once you've corrected that, there's errors using the core scale slipping it to where it needs to. That will then allow the sight telescope line of sight to be exactly parallel to the cannon's direction of fire. So your bore sight before conducting any live fires, when establishing a new MFP, then after airborne or assault operations. Base gun gunner will bore sight all mortar systems. This will eliminate variations in sight alignment and provide consistency in bore sighting. So now we're going to go over the round types that we utilize. So first we have HE or high explosive. It's used to cause troop casualties and damage light material. The round color is olive drab. The marking color is yellow. Moving on, we have the white phosphorus round, which is used to screen, signal, and then deny terrain. It acts as an incendiary. The round color is light green, and then the marking color is red, band color yellow. We have red phosphorus next. It's used to screen or signal, deny terrain, acts as an incendiary. It is also light green with a marking color of black, and then a band color of brown. Illumination, it is used to illuminate battlefield, signal, and mark. The round color is white, marking color black, and then there is no band color unless you're utilizing the IR round, and at that point it will be an orange band color. And then next we have our FRPC, full range practice cartridge. It's used for training and practice. The round color is blue, the marking color is white, and the band color is brown. And here's just some photos to show you guys what exactly each of those rounds look like. Now we're going to go over the storage of rounds. If ammunition is stored on the ground, use at least 6 inches of storage dunnage under each stack. Keep ammunition dry and out of direct sunlight by storing it in a vehicle, covering them with a tarp and a covered ammo supply point. Ensure adequate ventilation around the ammunition and between covering material and ammunition. Protect ammunition as much as possible from enemy direct or indirect fires. If using sandbags for protection, keep the walls at least 6 inches from the stacks and the roof at least 18 inches from the stacks to ensure proper ventilation. So just note the 60, 81, and 120 white phosphorus rounds must be stacked vertical, nose end up. Failure to do this will cause the melted filler inside of the round to improperly form inside, causing the round to fly erratically. And then also the red phosphorus rounds may be stored horizontally. So now we're going to go over the round weights. So if you see with the 60, the weight of the rounds, they really don't change too much. Just know the number per container is 16, and then the total weight with all those rounds is 116. Looking at the 81 rounds, again, it really doesn't fluctuate in weight. It's about a pound and a half difference, and then the number per container is 3, and then the weight varies between 53 pounds and 63 pounds. The 120, the weight does not fluctuate at all. As far as the weight of the round goes, the number per container is 2, and then the weight is between 96 and 97 pounds. And then for all the rounds that we have, there's many different charges. Most of these charges are not utilized today. They're just very old and outdated. The ones that we use nowadays is at the very bottom, M205, and the M218, the M219, M220, and M223, which is the nitrocellulose fiber containers, which just looks like a horseshoe. So here's some pictures of those charges. If you look at the very bottom right photo, the third round, you can kind of see that is what those teabag charges look like. Again, those are outdated. We do not really use those. You will very rarely see those now. So what are the charges used for? They're used to increase or decrease the distance of the mortar round. We fire on the lowest charge because it reduces the chance of mortar rounds being detected by radar because of reduced trajectory and time of flight. Responsiveness of fires is increased by reducing time of flight. So overall, it increases our survivability of a mortar platoon. So if you're using the LHMEC or FCC, it will automatically compute the lowest charge available for those missions. If you're using the M16 or M19 plotting boards, you'll need to look through the firing tables to determine the lowest charge possible. So important, propelling charges are not interchangeable. Do not substitute one model for another. Do not mix lots. Never fire a cartridge with a greater number of propelling charges than authorized for the ammunition and weapon. Reposition remaining propellant increments toward the rear of the fin assembly. Never allow an open flame or on or near charges. Failure to comply may result in serious injury to personnel or damage to the equipment. So now moving on to the fuse settings, we have proximity, near surface burst, impact, and then delay. So proximity, it explodes 1 to 4 meters above ground or 3 to 13 feet. They're used when the enemy is standing, prone, or crouching in open fighting positions, or if the enemy's status is unknown. Planning considerations, if the soil is hard or rocky, you want to utilize 50% prox and 50% impact. Also, with that planning considerations, if the ground is soft, swampy, covered in deep snow, or if the soil type is unknown, you'll use proximity. For a near surface burst, it explodes 0 to 1 meters on or near the ground, or 0 to 3 feet. They're used for standing targets. The shell will explode and send the shell fragments outward, perpendicular to the long axis of other standing targets. Planning considerations, fire near surface burst if the soil is hard, rocky, soft, swampy, or covered in deep snow as well. Impact, it explodes on impact. It is used for standing targets mixed with delay when the enemy is extremely dense, forest, or jungle. Planning considerations, on rocky or hard soil, fire 50% prox and 50% impact. Enemy is unmoored in the open fire, 1 impact fused HE round from each mortar, and then delay explodes at 0.05 seconds after impact with any object. They are used when the enemy is under overhead cover, enemy is in extremely dense forest or jungle. The planning considerations, most efficient when enemy is over triple canopy cover or in fighting positions with overhead cover. And then here's just a diagram, some photos to show you guys what each one looks like. So if you look to the photo off to the left, we have proximity, so it shows you it's bursting 3 to 13 feet above ground. Near surface burst, again 0 to 3 feet. Impact, and then delay burst. So on that fuse setting, you can see you can switch it with the multi-option fuse. And then off to the right, we have a picture of the rounds bursting and what those fragments are doing. So now we're going to move on to the types of fuses. We have the M734 Alpha 1 multi-option fuse function settings, which are prox, near surface burst, impact, delay. It is used with HE and Willie P. The M751 fuse functions look similar to the M734 Alpha 1, but only functions on impact. So if you look off to the left at that fuse head, that's exactly what it looks like. And then the third one we have is the M776 mechanical time super quick fuse function, which has impact, time setting, air burst, and then that is used with a loom or IR. And then lastly, we have the M772 fuse mechanical time super quick fuse, the time setting 3 to 55 seconds, and that is used with red phos. So for that bottom one, if you look at the photo, that shows you exactly what that fuse head looks like. And then for the third fuse setting, if you look to the right, that is what that fuse head looks like. So there are many different options for the fuse heads. You just have to look in the TC if you want to look into it and see any of the different ones. So important, the explosive elements and primers and fuses are sensitive to shock and high temperatures. Do not drop, throw, tumble, or drag boxes containing ammunition. And then here's to give you guys an idea of what those different types of HE rounds will do as far as the 60s, the 81s, and 120s go. So if you look at the 60 HE M720, it has a bursting radius of 28 meters, and then also the HE M49 Alpha 4 has a bursting radius of 20 meters. Suppressive effects of HE examples include the 60mm mortar round lands within 20 meters of a target. The target will probably be suppressed if not hit. The 60mm mortar round lands within 35 meters of the target. There's a 50% chance it will then be suppressed. Beyond 50 meters, little suppression takes place. The 81mm mortar lands within 30 meters of a target. The target will probably be suppressed if not hit. And then if the 81mm mortar lands within 75 meters of the target, there's a 50% chance that the target will be suppressed. Beyond 125 meters, little suppression takes place. And then going on to the 120mm mortar round with the proximity fuse, if it lands within 65 meters of a target, that target will probably be suppressed if not hit. And then lastly, the 120mm mortar round proximity fuse lands within 125 meters of the target. There's a 50% chance the target will be suppressed. Beyond 200 meters, little suppression takes place. Alright, so go ahead and review back through the video and discuss the lesson with your squad leader. Prepare for a 10 to 15 question test before PT tomorrow. Next class will be review question podcast.